I live in a small strata of 4 units that was built in 1987. There are substantial cracks appearing in the front retaining walls split between the visitors' car park and one unit's courtyard. As a landscape architect with some landscape construction knowledge, it looks as if the wall is just a single brick wall. Part of this conclusion is supported by the fact that at the back was retained using fence sheets that were recently replaced. In both instances, over 1 metre of soil along 20 metres is being held back. Council no longer has records of the plans. Insurance says they will no longer cover, or they will not cover this. No one wants to spend any more on maintenance or even agree to getting an engineer's report. I have no support from other lot owners or council of owners. What can be done?
Okay, thanks, Nikki. Look, that's a tricky one, obviously, and not getting support from other owners is problematic in itself, and it's probably not something I can give advice in terms of how you would navigate that. What I would say on this one, I think, what do we say, 1987, so it's well over 30 years old, this property. You're getting cracks now in a wall. My first opinion on that is that there has to be some kind of change of event that is causing those cracks. Something's changed, because otherwise this would have occurred 10, 15 years ago. Some of those changes that can occur, the first typical thing with retaining walls is things like trees. Obviously, as they get bigger and the root systems develop, they can impact, foundations and things on retaining walls. Could have been some sort of weather event, or I'm not sure of the actual property, but whether there's been, subsoil water conditions or something that's occurred. Really, when you're talking about structural matters like this of a retaining wall, and I acknowledge that it doesn't appear the wall is significantly high, but it's long. But nonetheless, really the only way to get to the bottom is a forensic engineer. So that's getting someone with that background to look at it, do an assessment on the wall. That may extend off into things like geotechnical. They may have to just, check the soil and see if there's any movement or reasons. But again, in my experience, trees have a lot to answer for with these sorts of issues. They are inherently normally present, and quite often it could be the tree well across the neighbour's property somewhere else that the root system has made its way over. So really a forensic engineer would be the way to go with that. Given the age of the property, I think any sort of recovery through original builder design, construction, anything like that is obviously not an option for you, unfortunately. So I think in this one, whether it is, you do have to fund the cost for that forensic engineer in the first place to help lay your case down as to how significant that problem is or not, would be a start point. And that document will carry a fairly good amount of weight, I think, moving into that next conversation, even with the council, where you could talk along the lines of the severity of it and whether within, your strata arrangement that would permit you to move forward and have a bit more owner accountability once that's discovered.
Okay, that's great. And then Sam, did you want to just address the, Bruce mentioned about sort of trying to get some support from the Council of Owners, and would you like to address that part of the question? Because I think you probably got something to say about that too.
You can always call me to come out. So, darling, I deal with lots of difficult Council of Owners, and I attend lots of AGMs, and the beauty about my kind of like tag as being the Aaron Brockovich of apartments is I actually can deal up the delivery in a way that makes people realise that sometimes, inaction is not the best action. So in this situation, you've got to ask yourself, what would be the impact if that wall falls over? So it's more a crisis management than it is actually dealing with the crack. I agree that a forensic engineer definitely is the way to go, but at the end of the day, if that wall fails, whose car might, for example, be impacted, and then insurance won't cover that car because, of course, you actually haven't dealt with the wall. So yeah, but certainly you can reach out to me. I'm happy to come and talk to your other Council of Owners or other members.